It's meant to be the happiest moment of your life as a couple, but can having a baby actually do more harm to your relationship than good? Pop star Liam Payne has admitted that having a baby with Cheryl ruined their 2-year relationship. And he's not alone, with stats showing that a fifth of parents break up in the year after having a baby. They cite lack of communication, dwindling sex life and not having enough time for each other as the primary reasons. So maybe Liam is onto something here. I must say, I applaud his honesty. I mean, quite a kind of dangerous thing for him to say in his position, but very honest. He was 23, she was a good bit older, he was living a pop star life, you know.
Yeah, I think the worrying word is ruin, because I think what he really means is he had to make a decision between the relationship or being a father more than he thought he would at that age. I had a similar situation when Scott and I got together. We were both late 30s, and there was a window where you think, are we going to try to have a baby? Are we going to have a family? Because we really were, we'd fallen madly in love with each other. We were very happy to start seeing the future. But you have to put relationship on one side and family on the other. And we already had children from previous relationships. Yeah. So when we made the decision to put the focus on the relationship, I feel that that's one of the reasons we stood the test of time.
So what were you worried about? That if you had decided to go baby, what were you worried about?
There's another person in the relationship, which therefore means you have to split your time, your attention, and can we all remember how difficult it is? Those first few months, if you're with a new partner, it's putting a huge strain on everything: sleep, livelihoods, financials, you know, all the fun stuff of relationships have to slightly park for a while. And I think that's what Liam's addressing, is the fun in the relationship had to just be put on hold.
Yeah. And he was only 23.
And he was 23!
Which is very, very young, whereas, of course, Cheryl was in her early 30s, wasn't she? So she'd obviously, in her head, was ready to have a baby.
But did you have that conversation with Gary that Sinatra and Scott had? Because you got together around about the same age, wasn't it?
We got married 2 weeks before my 40th birthday. Right. So, yes, because I suddenly... I mean, we had been together for 3 years before we got married, and in my head I thought, yeah, I do want to have another child, and I want to have a child with him, and he didn't really want to. His attitude was, we've already got a child each, we're travelling around, having a lovely time, you know, why do we want to kind of put a baby into the mix? Because it is like a big old hand grenade into your life. And it was almost like a little deal breaker, really, and I had to really persuade him. But I felt that I was ready, I wanted it, and that I was ready for it, and I could do it, and it would be fine. And, you know, and it worked out very well for us, actually.
Well, I do think sometimes babies do bring couples together as well as, you know, bring them apart, because it's that one thing that unites you, that keeps you together, that you both have that common ground on. It's part of you and it's also part of me, and that's what unites us. And sometimes having that child can keep that relationship together, because otherwise you might walk away easily if that child wasn't there, and then you stay together because that child is your commitment together and you want to be there for that child.
But don't you want something more in your relationship than that?
But what I was going to say is, even though you might have misinterpreted me saying, or you stay together for the child, but it's that child that brings that relationship to a new level and a new understanding of each other. And sometimes when you see your partner fathering your child, it just makes you fall in love with them even more. Because when you watch them, you know, with them engaging, it's just such a lovely sight,
you don't know until the baby's there. That is the problem. So to a certain extent, it is a gamble.
Yeah, you know, they're not sort of like a normal couple. He was in, like, arguably the world's biggest boy band, and I can imagine his schedule was completely manic. So in terms of how much time they'd actually spent together, it's probably, you know, they say they were in a relationship for 2 years, but it was probably a lot.
You couldn't get a more understanding partner than Cheryl, who was also been through the girl band.
But what I mean is, if you have a baby with somebody and you don't yet quite know them properly, a baby is going to really kind of put it under strain.
I mean, Ian and I really rushed into it. I mean, 9 years we thought, hey, let's have a baby.
Wow.
That's the way we roll. Really, it's incredible.